Hey friends, Ed McDonough here, and welcome to Live Stream Wednesday, coming to you live from Walpole, Massachusetts, and streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on livestreamwednesday.com. And today I'm super excited to have Supreme website designer Robin Clapp here with me. Robin is the owner of Web Design by Robin, and through her design, she helps business owners bring clarity to their online presence by building them a solid foundation for all of their marketing efforts. And in my humble opinion, I think she gets businesses to look in the best light possible online. So Robin, I just want to thank you for being here today and welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So listen, we've known each other a long time. We're in the same networking group together, Referral Exchange Networking. And but tell the folks a bit about your background and how you got started as a web designer and put it into your own business.
Yeah, so this is actually my second career, and I'm finding that people do have multiple careers in their lives nowadays. I'm a computer engineering graduate from UMass Dartmouth and co-opted at General Dynamics, got hired right after graduation and was there for 13 years and really liked my job. Why did I leave General Dynamics to start this business from home? I can blame that on my twin boys, Dan and Trev. They were 4 years old and starting half-day kindergarten, and life balance was off balance if I stayed with my job. So I needed to find something I could do from home. So I figured out a way to change up my coding skills and create a business where I was coding websites for small business owners in the area. And so that was in 2005. My kids were 4. They're 19 and finishing up their first year in college. So I've actually been doing website designs longer than I ever was an engineer.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. So can you real quick talk a little bit about your website design skills? So I know that you're a Joomla certified administrator. So what's the power of Joomla and why do you use that as your basis of coding websites?
So Joomla was introduced to me the first year I started out doing website designs. Back then I was still moonlighting, doing it on weekends and after work. And I was introduced to someone who said, if you can learn Joomla, I've got a lot of work for you. So this came through a marketing agency, and I fell in love with Joomla from the very beginning. Joomla is a content management system similar to your WordPress and your Drupal. It's kind of more geared towards designers, and I'm a designer and I'm an engineer and I like to code, so I can go in there and really set up a very customized experience, both on the front end for the user who's looking at it on a website browser, but also for the business owner on the back end who wants to go in there and make changes. They can have a nice, easy experience doing both. And that's because this type of platform allows me to do as much or as little as I want to do. So it's really been a good pairing for me to be able to offer a very customized product to my customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I saw one of the taglines on your website, design you can trust, content you can manage. So I love that about what you do, is the fact that not only are your sites amazing, to look at and functional, but also the fact that, if somebody wants to, they can, take it over, and you actually even train them how to do that. So that's really awesome. So let's just kind of jump back. I kind of jumped ahead here, but let's jump back. What was it like in the beginning for you when you first got started, and how did you get your name out there?
Yeah, so I actually exhausted my friends and family and neighbors and members of my church to hire me to design a website, and said, okay, what do I do now? I joined my local chamber of commerce and a BNI group actually in the same day, which is kind of funny. Just happened to schedule to meet with both of them and signed up. And that's pretty much where I was at for a good 12 years. That's where I got all my local business. And I really, truly believe it's something every business owner who wants to grow their business needs to go through. What I found very early on was I could have the best skills in the world and can create the best product, but if I don't know how to sell it, market it, or even run the numbers behind my business, I'm not going to be successful. So being a business owner is a lot more than having a great idea and having great skills, which is why I think I work so well with small business owners in the area. In all different stages of their life cycle, I can kind of relate. I've been through this. Let's get you a really good online presence so that all of your other efforts will be more powerful and more time efficient because you've got a sound professional website to fall back on every time.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Robin, I love the fact that, as a website designer, you get that, because there are a lot of people out there who, there's a bazillion website designers, but a lot of them just don't get that. They're just thinking, let me build this site and get it up and put it up there, and I don't really care about the content, or I'm just looking to get paid for doing a website. And you're so totally different from that, and I really appreciate that, and I'm 100% sure your clients do as well. So you've been in this business a long time, 15 years or so, maybe even longer. What have you had to adjust to over the years? How is it different now than it was back when you first got started?
When I first got started, giving someone a website that they could update themselves, that was huge. Only big companies had that back then. I mean, General Dynamics had their own custom backend built so that they could manage their company website, but small business owners didn't have that. I started in 2006. Joomla only started in 2005, and WordPress was right in there with it. So it wasn't, as popular back then. They were still designing websites in Dreamweaver, and custom HTML and CSS was. You had to go back to the web designer to update the content yourself, to have them update the content for you. So just the idea of a CMS was brand new back then. But more than that, I mean, all of a sudden now, if I was designing a website and I didn't do the mobile design as well, I wasn't staying competitive. So, and next it was security. It was all about the SSL certificate. You had to make sure that you had that, or you were going to get dropped off of Google for not having it. And the latest trend, I think I'm a little bit ahead of the curve, is the accessibility piece, which ties in so nicely to SEO. So what I do a little bit differently than other website designers is I keep all of my clients all the way through. Like, I have clients still now from 15 years ago. And so the websites I'm designing today, and to, the latest code and the latest practice, those customers from the beginning, they're also in the latest code, doing the latest practice. All of them are mobile, all of them are secure. And all of them are in the latest software. So that's something I stay with my clients and with my business owners for the long term, so that you can always know that their website is safe and healthy and maintained.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so awesome, because a lot of times that doesn't happen. Their sites get outdated, or the code doesn't work anymore, and it's just a pain in the butt for the business owner, and you kind of eliminate all those headaches. And that's absolutely fantastic. So, Robin, can I bring up a website that you design, and you talk to us a little bit about
Sure.
the accessibility of it?
Yeah. So this website design was one of my latest launches. It's Provost Home Design. It's a home designer located in Attleboro, Massachusetts, Mike Provost. And this website is actually accessible. It passes all the accessibility tests. And he did not request accessibility for his website, but while I was still kind of beginning to offer this, I offered it to him at no extra charge. I need to build up that portfolio, and it's kind of what we do at the beginning of any new skill that we're trying to hone. We want sites to practice it on. But accessibility kind of gets a bad rep. That maybe they're not the most creative looking websites, and they lack that style and design. And it's absolutely false. This is a beautiful website. He would have liked this website no matter what, but I just did the extra steps to make it accessible. And that accessibility piece really speaks to somebody who has maybe vision problems or hearing problems or any other cognitive disabilities. And I think it makes it easier for those folks, but it also makes it easier for you and I, Ed. And so, what's good for the general population is good for the business owner who wants to appeal to its full clientele. You don't want to leave anyone out. But yeah, just that color contrast, that spacing, that organization, it's just an easy to comprehend website. And that just is what accessibility is all about. The second piece is just hidden below. It's how does this website interact with someone using assistive technology? And so I kind of do that in the back end where I tie it all in so that the accessibility bridge is talking to your screen readers, and for example, but that doesn't really affect how it looks. But people think accessible, they think boring and ugly websites. That is not the case. You can have very distinct, original, beautiful websites and still have them be accessible.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And I think you're right. I think there is, a bit of a misnomer about, that part of it. And is there a requirement? Do you know anything about that? Is there like a requirement that by a certain date or something, the sites have to be accessible?
So right now there are no laws that anyone other than government and municipalities have to be accessible, but I think it's coming.
Yeah.
And right now, 25% of the population relies on some kind of assistive technology, whether they're increasing the font sizes or using some background color changes just so their experience online is more favorable. And so you're benefiting greatly if you do have an accessible website, because now you're going from 75% of who you could be reaching to 100%. And that just makes good business sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're not leaving anybody out. And that's great. That's awesome. So kudos to you for jumping on the bandwagon and really making this a part of your core business. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, speaking about, standing out, I mean, businesses depend heavily on that, standing out from their competition and what they do. So what is it that you do that makes you different from like other website designers that helps businesses to do that, to really stand out and be kind of head and shoulders above the rest?
So from the very beginning, when I start a project, we try to come to that business as a potential customer. And it's tell me what you're trying to sell, and let me tell you if your message is clear. Because a lot of times business owners already have a website, and other times we're starting from scratch. But either way, I need to get into the head of those running the business. And it's not always obvious when you go to their current website exactly what they do. Our job is to clean all of that up, to make it crystal clear. And design can do that. That's the great thing about design. If you want to make a potential site visitor take a certain action, you can design it into the flow of that website. And so it's not just about filling boxes in a templated website. It's about figuring out what your site customer visitors, what their problems are. And when they come to that website, does it scream, I've got a solution for you, or not?
Yeah.
And you want to make it so that they know right away they've come to the right place. I do things like that. I work with the business owner to clean up basically their messaging and be crystal clear about their services and their products, and ask them, how do you run your business from day to day? Can we do anything on this website to make your day to day easier? So a lot of times, first we design it, make it appealing, make it representative.
Right.
But then we also start talking about functionality and putting things in place that, now streamline what they do. So now they're spending less time doing the things they did before, because the website, they say, okay, now go to the website and fill out this form, or go to the website and schedule this meeting, or, take a look at our portfolio, because I've got all the latest up there. Look through my, home design plans and tell me which one appeals to you, right?
Right.
The home designer that I just showed you an example of, having those online is going to save so much of his prospecting, right, time.
Yep.
And it's just a great documentation of the great work that he does. So he's going to convert a lot more of those potentials, because they can see what he has. So that's how I run my business a little bit different, because I'm so custom. I really care about how to improve that experience for the business owner, for the customers, and overall for the industry, by giving them something very specific that is geared toward exactly what they're going to use it for. And that's where I shed the best light. And not a lot of not a lot of web designers will go to that effort. In particular, one job I'm working on now, where it's a large site, almost 200 pages, we're spending the time to look at every single page and reorganize that whole website.
Wow.
Getting rid of things that aren't needed, putting things in different places. That sitemap is just torn apart and pulled back together. Would someone else do that? Probably not. They'd probably just bring it over to the next template, and that would be the website they have.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got new colors, it's got new fonts, but it's the same mess. And I want to get rid of that mess, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to go through a web design, let's redesign everything that matters to your online presence.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right in the head. That's so awesome. Again, it's awesome that you do that, because I've had my marketing company since 2009, and it's the same process that I take people through. Is what is the goal, and how can we make it as easy as possible for people to instantly understand this is what you do and this is how you can help them, right? And that's just that's it. So right on board with you there. Kudos to you for that. So I just want to highlight this one point here, is that it's really important for people to understand that when you're designing a website for them, it isn't a template-based thing. It is 100% custom. You're making that website do exactly what it needs to do for them. So just talk about that again for a second.
Yeah, so because I have my engineering background and my coding experience, that first job that I worked on, where they said, if you can learn Joomla, I've got work for you.
Yeah.
A marketing firm out of Norton, Mass. They would give me the designs and I would create those designs. So I was doing it from the very beginning, and I preferred it. And I think a couple years into my career, I did have a client that said, I bought this template, can you implement it? And back at the beginning, you never say no to any jobs. I worked on that job, and they were like, okay, I like it, but can you make these changes? So now what you have is this mammoth of a template, because it's meant to have 1,000 different variations, right?
Right.
It's meant to appeal to a greater audience. They're not just selling it to one person, they're selling it to a lot of people. And so you've got a lot of code making a lot of decisions. It's slowing it down, and it is a mess of a beehive to go in there and try to find where to make those changes. If I had just gone to her and said, oh, that's the template you like and you want these changes, I'll code it from scratch.
Yeah.
It will be one file and one design. It'll be fast. It'll be clean.
Yeah.
So I learned from doing that experience that I would not work with templates ever again. And I don't think it did her any justice to use a template. And there's a lot of other downsides to templates. They expire when they no longer service. They're not working in the latest PHP. They're not working in the latest CMS. So what do you do at that point?
Right.
I go rebrand your entire website because the template no longer is being serviced. And so a custom approach to it means, you have a CMS, but you have an HTML file and a CSS file. and that's it. You don't
Yeah.
have a template that's going to no longer be supported by the original developer you purchased it from.
Absolutely. And that also brings up some security issues too, because a lot of times, those plug-in things and the things that make your site do this, this other Band-Aid you have to put on top of the monstrosity, right? Can sometimes have security issues where your code and the way you do it, it doesn't have that problem.
Yeah. So a template, it has been known for being one of the places that's the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Then they say, we'll only, purchase templates from, well-known template providers, that, are not going to just be here today, gone tomorrow. So then you're only buying from certain ones. And so now your website starts looking like everybody else's website. So, I mean, I fell into doing things this way. It lined up really well with my skills. I liked having that control to do things exactly the way the customer wants it done without, because I could. But I chose to do it very early on in my career that way. And it's interesting to me that I'm still doing it the same way. Many, many generations later in Joomla, still in the same community CMS. So I think it's something my customers don't even realize. They hire me for me, but they get something very original, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because that's something I wanted to highlight, is the fact that, not only are you getting this website that does exactly what you want, looks exactly the way you want, loads really fast, but also you're getting Robin and all her skills and her ability to bring out, the solution to the problem, so that people really understand your message, and there's a lot of clarity there. So that's brilliant on your part. So keep doing the good work. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you real quick, what's in the future? Is there some I know you've kind of broken the barrier on doing accessibility now. Is there something else coming down the road that you want to tell folks about, or is it just status quo for now?
Well, certainly accessibility is going to be a big part of what I'm going to do going forward. And it does open up a lot of opportunities for me, bigger jobs where it's more of a requirement, it's written in, that you find RFPs now are listing it all the time. So I think that in itself is going to keep me pretty busy for a while now. I do find my small business owners don't really know what accessibility is, so it's not really on their radar to even be asking for it. But there's still a lot of work to be done with those local businesses in my area and around Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and the New England area. But I'm opening up a whole nother sector by saying I can do accessible websites, and that's super exciting for me. And for anyone who's a constant learner, you always want to be challenged in order to get excited about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So accessibility is my excitement right now, and that will keep me, getting up and excited to hit the computer every morning and work on these wonderful sites. What comes after that, I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna, keep a pulse on the industry and see where it leads me, because that's kind of what I've been doing from the very beginning, and always hoped to do when I started my business and left my exciting job in corporate America, is I still wanted to stay current with the latest trends, and website design has been more than rewarding in that area. I've really enjoyed keeping up with the latest technology, and it's been ever changing. So, and thank you to all those customers who let me do and try and figure out how to implement all these wonderful technologies and trends going forward, because they're the reason why I get to play around and get paid. So, that's the beauty of finding the right job for yourself, right?
Yeah, and doing something you're passionate about, and it's really obvious, Robin, that you're passionate about this. So, hey, listen, I want to thank you so much for being on today. I have your website up here. Is that the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to send you off into the backstage and just say goodbye to everybody. Robin, thanks so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it and letting people know what you do. So I'll be right back in a minute to talk with you. So again, if you want to explore the possibility of getting a new website, putting your best image out there online, get in touch with Robin. Website designbyrobin.com. She's awesome at what she does. I've known her for a really long time, and I really enjoy her work very much. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'd just like to say, have a great week, and we'll see you next time right here on Livestream Wednesday. Take care for now.